Namaste to all the students. I, JVN Dr. Ekta, Assistant Professor of English in Faculty of Education and Methodology. I welcome you in the lecture of Introduction to English Literature. Our today's topic is imagery. Imagery in any sort of writing refers to the descriptive language that engages the human sense. What image do you see in your mind when you read the following sentence? A field of bright yellow flowers lay beautifully in front of me. This picture, you form this picture in your mind. This is what imagery is, like this. Is this image close to one you saw in your mind? Okay. What image do you see in your mind when you read the following sentence? The big juicy burger with its melted cheese and red tomatoes made my mouth water and my stomach grumbled. Is this the image you saw in your mind? Imagery refers to the mental picture that readers experience when reading literature. It appeals directly to one or more of the five senses. An author achieves imagery through the use of words. The five senses, which makes you feel that image, see that image, hear that visual, what you see, auditory, what you hear, kinesthetic, what you feel, olfactory, what you smell, and gustatory, what you taste. Okay. For instance, the following line from the Robert Frost poem, After Apple Picking, contain imagery that engages the touch of the sense of touch. Some additional key details about imagery are like, though imagery contains the word image, it does not only refer to descriptive language that appeals to the sense of sight. Imagery includes language that appeals to all of the human senses. Like I have discussed that we see it, we feel the taste, we feel, we hear, we smell. While imagery can and often does benefit from the use of figurative language such as metaphors and similes, imagery can also be written without using any figurative language at all. Some people may also argue that imagery can be kinesthetic, related to movement, or organic, related to senses. Writers may focus description in a particular passage on primarily one type of imagery or multiple types of imagery. Many people confuse the relationship between imagery and figurative language. Like describing imagery as a type of figurative language, describing imagery as the use of figurative language to create description that engage the physical senses. The word imagery is associated with mental picture. However, this idea is but partially correct. Imagery, to be realistic, turns out to be more complex than just a picture. For example, it was dark and dim in the forest. Here the words dark and dim are visual images. Then the children were screaming and shouting in the fields. The screaming and shouting appealed to our sense of hearing, our auditory sense. He whiffed the aroma of brewed coffee. Whiff and aroma evoke our sense of smell or olfactory sense. Then the girl ran her hands on a soft satin fabric. The idea of soft in this example appeals our sense of touch or tactile sense. Then the the fresh and juicy orange is very cold and sweet. Juicy and sweet, when associated with oranges, have an effect on our sense of taste, our gustatory sense. Imagery needs the aid of figures of speech like simile, metaphor, personification, and onomatopoeia in order to appeal to the bodily senses. There are some examples like the old man took the handful of dust and sifted it through his fingers. The burger, aromatic and spices, made his mouth water in anticipation of the first bite. The wild gusts of cold wind pierced her body. The beacons of moonlight bathed the room in eternal light. When he was on the way to work, he heard the muffled cry of a woman. The blind man touched the tree of fern if its skin was smooth and rough. The silence in the room was unnerving. There lay refuse heaps on their path that were so smelly that it maddened them. The chirping of birds heralded spring. The sound of bat hitting the wall was pleasing to his ear. The stone fell with a splash in the lake. The people travelled long distances to watch the sunset in the north. The sound of a drum in the distance attracted him. The fragrance of spring flowers made her joyful. The starry night sky looked so beautiful that it begged him to linger, but he reluctantly left for home. Okay. The function of imagery in literature is to generate a vibrant and graphic presentation of a scene that appeals to as many of the reader's senses as possible. It aids the reader's imagination to envision the characters and scenes in literary piece clearly. Apart from the above mentioned function, images draw by using figure of speech like metaphors, similes, personification, onomatopoeia, They serve the function of beautifying a piece of literature. Like visual, the golden rays of the setting sun reflected upon the clear waters of the lake. Auditory, the trees resulted as the wind whistled gently through the leaves. Kinesthetic is like my toes went numb and a shiver ran through my body as I stepped into the cold river. Olfactory, the stench of rotting garbage overpowered my nostrils when I opened the wind. Gustatory, her mouth watered and her tongue burned as she bit into the sour, peppery mango chow. Okay, thank you for watching.